Nice. Way to go, dude. You fucking did it.
You want to hear something really cool?
Hit me.
A well-behaved woman is trim and proper. Chores always.
I love that that's queued up. That's great.
When the husband comes home, she greets him with a smile.
It really.
Sorry, what the fuck?
Every time I hear this, I am just in awe of how professional it's. It makes me so happy, but also so proud to like do this podcast with you that you put this together on your like it fucking kills.
She doesn't have a feather.
I can go fuck in the big house.
You're a mess, girl. I am here.
That makes me really happy because I've
extras.
like
I've got my own hammer.
Fuck, I have had this kind of timeline idea since the very fucking beginning. So I'm glad that it turned out the way that it did.
Evolution is a thing.
Mm-hmm. Guess what? This is Well-Behaved Women. Welcome to the fucking podcast, guys.
Yeah, we're fucking live and ready to jive, dude, with the new pro gear.
Hannah is probably dead somewhere in an Italian
No, we
ditch.
know she's dead. They're shipping her body back now as we speak.
It's been packed in spaghetti. Her body is all noodles.
When does she come back?
I don't know. So I think the end of this week, probably. Okay. So she'll probably be with us the next time.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, man. She is... I was going to say that she's not going to love all the her being dead jokes, but I don't know. I don't know how she's going to feel about it.
She will love it.
I hope so. I do love her. I just thought it was a fun bit. The nice thing about an audio-only podcast is that we don't have to worry about what we're doing because there's nothing to see here. Wow.
Fuck, man. We did it. We're here.
Yeah, feels like the big leagues for sure.
Is Gwen singing a fake song again?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, that's fake as fuck.
B has birds. He's got 2 hens and one of them...
Poultry. We have chickens. We have hens.
I said hens.
No, you said birds.
Well, and then I said 2 hens.
Oh, I'm
She's
sorry.
got 2 hens. They've been clucking.
I was just adding on. Yeah.
Gwen has been laying fairly regularly, and she likes to sing and sing. And now she's playing cheerleader to Wanda, who has not yet laid.
Yeah, we're singing egg songs all morning. It's just a hype squad, I think, really.
Poor Annika has been in and out and in and out, and she has been tricked so many times.
Talk about like a roller coaster, honestly. I mean, we've been through so much with these fucking chickens.
These are the 2 survivors of like a summer of murder.
2 of 6. Yeah.
It was a summer of death, truly.
One's a rooster. One maybe was bludgeoned unintentionally, and the other 2 were mauled by the dog.
Who trots around like absolutely fucking nothing is wrong.
Yeah. No, he's two-faced for sure. He's a murderous. He did have a raccoon like pinned up the fence the other night.
Oh, did?
I don't know if I told you that.
No.
It was last week before Chris left. We were all standing out here smoking. Actually, it was when I had a buddy in town, so maybe 2 weeks ago. But it was like probably 10-ish at night. It was getting late. Mm-hmm. We were just standing outside smoking, and we were getting ready to go to bed, most of us, and we just heard like snarling and growling, and that's hey, it wasn't me this time.
Sorry.
It's fine. Which we don't normally hear, and we could tell it was coming from our yard. And on the side of the chicken coop, we have this little alleyway between the garage and the neighbor's fence is like blocked off, and like right where the little gate is that blocks it off, Loki was like up the fence on his hind legs trying to get at something, and it was dark, and there's really not a light on that side of the garage because we don't need one. But I could see in the shadows a big ass raccoon on the top of the fence with all its hair like standing up on the back of its back. And I was like, Holy shit! And Annika went to go get the baseball bat, and by the time she came back, it had already gone. And I had gotten Loki away from the raccoon, prior to telling her to go get the baseball bat, but it had run off by the time she had gotten back. But it was enormous, and it was not happy.
The first raccoon I ever so I grew up thinking about them as goober nuggets because my aunt and uncle used to run like a raccoon sanctuary out in Canada, try and rehabilitate them. Yeah. I guess there was like they were going down in population out there, and so like they would take them in.
I need
and
our
protect
one
them.
super fan to mark that moment that we just learned that raccoon sanctuary. That's new. We're gonna make merch with raccoon sanctuary.
No, but they're called
You know
goober
what?
nuggets.
Maybe that's what we should call the pod lab, the raccoon sanctuary. Maybe that's what this is.
I mean, Hannah did say that she was a raccoon with a mental health problem.
Oh, Annika loves trash pandas. She'd be on board
yeah.
immediately.
All right, so henceforth, it's official.
Oh, fuck. We got
I
to christen
second.
it somehow. Yeah, all right. Raccoon Sanctuary. That's the new name of the pod lab.
That was the glass of metaphorical champagne.
Mazel.
Anyway, so they would have this raccoon sanctuary and they'd call them they're little goober nuggets, and they'd rehabilitate them back into the forest. So I just always thought that they were like, oh, they must be these endangered species. There must not be very many of them. Well, I come back from like partying in, on Halloween in downtown, like in West Seattle, and there is.
Said you thought raccoons were like endangered species. That's hysterical.
Well, because I never saw them when I was
No, I
growing
know,
up.
I get it.
Like,
but in the Midwest,
so I
they're
just
everywhere.
assumed. Yeah, I didn't know that. But I'm in Seattle. I'm coming back from a Halloween party. I get back, and I get out of my Uber, and there's a raccoon not 25 feet from me. And so my first thought is, oh my God, adorable trash panda.
You're like Buddy the Elf walking home to New York from the North Pole.
Yes. Hi, friendly, not friendly. But I didn't do that. I kind of took a couple steps forward to see what was going on, and then it started like raising its little haunches up, and I was like, you know what? You're good. I'm leaving you alone. Good night.
Yeah, them bitches got thumbs.
Happy
Don't
Halloween.
fuck with raccoons. I was ready. I was ready to really do some damage to that raccoon, but it ran away.
Do you want to do an episode
Let's fucking do it, dude.
on our fancy new mics?
Oh my god.
I've been telling everyone about this. I'm like, it's like I feel like a kid at Christmas, man.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like Christmas.
It's very exciting.
It's even starting. Weather's even starting to cool off.
Yeah. It's September Santa. Come to play.
Extra Christmas in September sounds awesome.
If you can have Christmas in July, you can have Christmas any damn time of the year.
Yeah, sorry for all the parents who have multiple kids and would be broke forever, but like that sounds awesome.
amazing. Also, if you can just like keep the decorations up all fucking year.
It's like having divorced parents, but without the trauma. 2 Christmases!
Yeah, where they like actually have a fairly healthy divorce, and they're like, and we're gonna spoil the fuck out of you, okay? Okay? Yeah, good. All right. Do you want to start with on this year?
On this year in history.
The Bloody Sunday massacre of peaceful Russian demonstrators at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg takes place, leading to an unsuccessful uprising.
Idiots.
A simultaneous uprising begins at 6 cities in Argentina against the government of President Manuel Quintana. Sorry.
Yeah, you fucking...
And the Switzerland national football team plays its first international game, losing to France 1-0. Or
Man.
sorry, 1-0.
Everybody's fucking this shit up.
Yeah,
There's a lot of losing going on.
It is a lot of losing.
We're taking L's left and right on this first one. It sounds like it's like maybe pre-war time, like beginning of the 20th century. So like I'm gonna guess like 1915 for now until I get more info.
Okay, you get all right. Ooh, you get one more.
Okay, hit me.
Because this will give it away. U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt gives the bride away at the wedding of his 20-year-old niece, Anna Eleanor Roosevelt, to her distant cousin, 23-year-old law student Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah, like what, 1912 maybe?
1905.
Okay.
He lost. I want to do it. One of the sounds is going to be a wah, wah, wah.
I almost said 1904, and then I was like, I feel like it's later than that because FDR was president in the 40s, but whatever.
But he was married by that time.
Yeah, I guess. He was married for fucking 30 years already.
All right, let's see. The year was 1905. I don't know why he came up with that accent.
Rough Riders.
All right, so Harry McKinnell and his wife Carrie lived in Indiana. In January, boo. In January, they had a baby girl they named Winnie Ruth. Harry was a Methodist minister, and Winnie grew up in that church, mostly in rural Indiana. And then, when she was 17, she was serving as a hospital orderly when she met 37-year-old Dr. William C. Judd, a veteran of the Great War.
The Great War.
Yeah. Because it wasn't a first of two, it was just the war. It was the biggest war of the whole world at that point, so it was indeed a great one.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
It's great.
Tony the Tiger's War. Got it.
Teddy the Tiger's War.
No, there it is.
All right. He was a veteran of that war. Because of injuries sustained during the war, William was a morphine addict.
Oh, fuck yeah.
As you do.
Well, that's... I was just talking about this to somebody the other day about how the I think it was Annika. We were talking about how at the end of the 1800s, there really wasn't morphine. It was alcohol. They were drinking themselves into a coma before having their limbs sawn off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
but morphine was like the greatest invention of all time.
I mean, still, people love it.
Yep.
All right, tell me more about the morphine addict.
In 1918, he had caught a piece of shrapnel from an artillery shell.
We love some shrapnel.
Yeah, because of this, he just couldn't keep a job down, so they moved a lot. Duh.
It's so expensive to move. It's so stupid that people do that.
I mean, now it is, but at the time,
Even then, the hassle. Like, come on, man.
You clearly don't know about moving.
You can't fucking dig ditches. Can't do something.
No, he was a doctor. By God, he was going to keep being a doctor.
Yeah, the morphine addict doctor. Let's go.
Oh, God. Okay, so despite the extreme age difference, the two fell real hard for one another, and they got married. Shortly after the wedding, Winnie, who went by Ruth, moved to Mexico with him. Because she was such a small, frail little thing, she suffered 2 miscarriages, and it was incredibly hard on Ruth, who really, desperately wanted children. This drove this couple that had already been separated by age and addiction even further apart. To make matters worse, Ruth contracted tuberculosis. Dr. William, who was working at a copper mine, so he did do other shit. He was working at a copper mine. He was down in Mexico, and he didn't want to give up that job because he could actually hold it down. So he sent Ruth to convalesce in a facility in California. She recovered there, but then when she returned to Mexico, it flared up. So
her convalescence flared up?
Yeah. No, her convalescence was like the recovery. Her tuberculosis flared up.
Just making sure.
Fuck you. Oh. William lost his job again, though, so it was kind of convenient, so they just moved back to the States, where they ended up in Phoenix, Arizona.
310 to Yuma.
Ruth found work as a governess to a quote-unquote plutocrat named Lee Ford.
What is a plutocrat?
You know what? I don't know. I want to say just an extremely wealthy person, but let's look it up.
Sounds dumb.
A plutocrat is a person whose power derives from their wealth. So literally just...
It is dumb.
It is the dumbest, and it's exactly what you'd think. It's like, I'm important because I've got a lot of money.
Oh, daddy! Yeah.
Because my daddy's got a lot of money, and then his money made money.
All right. Well.
So she worked for as a governess to the plutocrat named Lee Ford. She worked in their family home, and the couple had pretty much separated at this point, so Ruth was actually, since she was already there, she was finding the company of the socialites of the still very small town of Phoenix to be far preferable to her morphine-addicted husband.
You don't say.
Your brain is addled by drugs. Like, you stay home for the night, honey.
Yikes.
Enter Jack. John J. Halloran was better known around the town as Happy Jack Halloran. He was a married businessman, a married socialite.
Happy Jack is a shitty nickname. That is the most uncool nickname.
He was a married businessman, a married socialite, a
I
married
hate rich people.
playboy, a married father, and according to many sources on the internet, and I need to hear this in your wort voice, a philanderer.
A philanderer.
He was a neighbor of the Ford home and dealt in lumber, so you know he knew everyone, and was just swimming in cash.
Swimming in lots of things, I'm sure.
Swimming in lot. In short, they fucking a lot. Dr. William probably wasn't happy about this, but again, I don't think he quite gave a shit about anything. His brain was Swiss cheese.
Wow, I doubt his dick worked anyway with all that morphine.
Definitely not. Happy Jack was quite the playboy in that it was obvious that Ruth wasn't the only one he was fucking. And if you were cute and kind of important or even just really hot, Happy Jack was more than happy to jack, if you get my drift. Sex. They fucking. He's fucking a lot of people. Happy to jack.
Uh-huh.
He's happy to jack.
Listen, I get it. I just didn't love it. It's all right, is what I'm saying. 3 out of 5 stars.
Ruth lost her job as a governess, possibly due to the affair with the neighbor, so she got a job as a medical secretary at Grunau Medical Center. One of her coworkers was a woman named Agnes Ann Leroy, a 32-year-old x-ray tech, and a 24-year-old orderly named Hedvig Samuelson, or Sammy.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Agnes had recently moved to Phoenix from Alaska. She and her roommate Hedvig had made the decision to move to the Southwest when Hedvig had contracted tuberculosis. At the time, the Southwest was the haven for people with wet lungs because it's dry as fuck. So they go to Phoenix to help treat it. That was why a lot of people moved out to the Southwest. There are a lot of rumors that they were definitely lesbian lovers, but it was never confirmed.
Lesbian.
I heard that on fucking, like, one of the seasons of Friends, and it stuck in my brain forever.
He doesn't want to be his friend anymore because Ben's mom is a lesbian.
Lesbians. So it's never stated clearly, but for reasons, Agnes and Sammy were also familiar and friendly with Happy Jack, who was happy to jack, if you get my drift.
Saying it a second time doesn't make it funnier.
There are plenty of people... Are you laughing, though?
At you being ridiculous more than your joke.
And the fact that it annoys you so much, it just makes it funnier to me.
It's only because I'm going to a comedy show tonight. I'm already hyped up and the stakes are high. Yeah. The bar, you came in not knowing how high the bar was set. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
No, it's not your fault.
Leave me alone.
I know. I'm saying. I'm not
trying.
trying to be mean. I'm telling you.
There were plenty of people who've posited, and probably correctly, that at some point these girls were happy to jack.
Scissoring.
Happy jack.
Oh.
No, they were happy to jack Happy Jack.
So there's a threesome thing going
Yeah,
on.
or they fucking him alone or whatever.
Yeah, what?
Separately, together. I don't give a fuck. Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, well.
It's just likely that they were fucking.
Okay.
Ruth was under absolutely no illusion that Happy Jack was happy to jack with more than, like, her, you know? So...
She thought it was just her?
No. She definitely thought that she definitely knew that he was fucking other people. And Ruth didn't really have a problem with it. He was a rich, handsome socialite, super well connected in a still small town. Why wouldn't he be fucking around town, you know?
I mean, live your life. I don't care.
Right.
If it works for you, I'm not judging.
Yeah. So in August of 1931, Dr. William decided to go to LA to enter a rehab program. Ruth, having finally put down roots in a town she really enjoyed a lot more than her morphine-addled husband, decided not to go with him, and instead she moved in with Agnes and Sammy.
Yeah.
So she still worked as a
Three's Company, let's go.
Yeah. So she still worked as a secretary, and then she would send money to her husband. I want to say maybe he was going to treatment, but I'm not going to guarantee that because I cannot. He probably didn't. He probably
I
went
can
for
neither
work.
confirm
I think
nor
he
deny
also went
those rumors.
He could have just as easily, and I probably wrote this down somewhere, but he could just as easily have gone for like another job. I don't fucking know. Her residency with Agnes and Sammy didn't last long. They lived together for a few weeks, but Ruth was a messy Bessie. And according to her, she really needed to let the other two women live in private. So she probably heard them fucking and was like, nah, I should probably leave.
I mean, what?
I mean, this is their house. Whatever. So it didn't end their socialization with each other, though. They were, they continued to go to parties together, and they were friends, and they were all together with Happy Jack around them. Who was happy to Jack? On October 16th, Agnes and Sammy invited Ruth to come over and play bridge with them. Ruth, who had a scheduled date with Happy Jack, turned him down and waited for Halloran to show. By 9 p.m., she figured out that she'd been stood up, so she decided, fuck it. And she went to the bungalow to see if she could still catch a hand of bridge with the ladies. She gets to the bungalow, and Agnes and Sammy are riled up and really good and pissed at Ruth. Ruth had introduced Happy Jack, who was more than happy to Jack, to a new woman that she worked with, and it was rumored that this girl had syphilis.
She's dirtying up the fucking pool.
For real. I think Agnes might have seen like a test result or something, but don't quote me on that. I might say Agnes and I might say Annie interchangeably. Annie was her nickname. So
Sure.
Annie and Sammy or Agnes and Sammy.
All right, then.
All fucking right then. The girls told Ruth that they were going to tell Dr. William that she was fucking the city wolfhound and called her a slut. And she called them perverts because she knew they were sensitive about being called lesbians.
Bunch of preverts. Pedophiles.
Yep. Ruth stood up to leave and walked across the kitchen to put her cup in the sink. And what happened next is argued. There are the court documents, there's Ruth's story, and then there's the investigative efforts after the fact, and plenty of other versions in between.
All right, hit me.
Angry with Ruth and feeling none too happy about the idea of sharing the city wolfhound with yet another woman, and a syphilitic one at that, Sammy attacked Ruth. Ruth fought back. There was a knife involved, and at some point, a .25 caliber pistol was used. Agnes joined in the fight, and things got chaotic. By the end of the scuffle, Sammy had been stabbed once and shot 3 times in the shoulder, chest, and head. Agnes had been shot in the head.
The heads?
The heads.
Jesus Christ, the heads?
Ruth had been shot in the hand, but Ruth was still alive.
So everybody's dead but Ruth.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
Ruth, horrified by what had just happened and unsure of what to do now that she had 2 bodies on her hands,
Run away, bitch.
she panicked and she ran away. She left the bungalow. She went right home because she lived in an apartment not too far from the house. And she was trying to go home to like call Dr. William and figure out how to handle it. And when she got there,
Her morphine addicted husband.
yeah, because he was a doctor. Like, how the fuck do I fix this? And
He's not a detective.
Hey, babe, I'm a little bit in trouble. Can you help me out here?
He's a physician. God, this broad.
When she got there, Happy Jack was waiting for her.
Excuse me? How and why?
The next day, Ruth showed up to work as usual. On October 18th, she popped up again in Phoenix at a train station. She boarded the Golden State Limited at Phoenix Union Station and headed to L.A. Her left hand was bandaged, and she carried 2 large steamer trunks and some smaller luggage items with her. It was an overnight train, and by the next morning, there was, shall we say, an aroma emanating from the trunks. Not just that, but there was liquid oozing.
You brought the bodies with you, you
Oozing.
dumb bitch. Oh my God. It gets worse.
At this time, especially between these areas, hunting was super common, and shipping meat across the borders was not unheard of. So, when baggage attendant and likely a man with a very sensible mustache, Arthur Anderson, smelled the smelly smell that smelled smelly, he just figured he'd need to confiscate some deer meat and write a ticket or two. He was like, all right, whose is this?
But he opened it and found a head.
When the train pulled into the station, Arthur Anderson asked Ruth if she could please be so kind as to hand him the keys for the trunks. But Ruth didn't have the keys for the trunks.
I don't even know what's in these here trunks.
I don't have them.
I'm simply a courier.
And by this point, one of Ruth's brothers had arrived to pick her up from the station. He was a student out in California already. And I also see him as a mustachioed man where he goes, "Now see here, my good man, you must have some gall to accuse this lady of such a monstrous thing."
And I don't have them there keys neither.
I don't got them keys.
So there.
Anderson decided he really wasn't okay with this answer, so he called LAPD in the afternoon.
Yeah, you fuckwits. Get the cops down here.
Hours later, the police actually showed up. Anderson has the trunks and the luggage tagged, and the smell has gotten more foul.
Well, duh.
Well, fucking duh. On arriving to the station, LAPD picks the locks of the trunks. The lids open, the smell gets stronger, and when they opened it fully, what should be looking back at them but a human face?
And a couple of tits.
So it gets real bad, and they get a little bit better, and then it gets really bad.
I'm really bummed you didn't say the smell got smellier.
The smell got way smellier.
Seemed like a missed opportunity.
The smelly smell got smellier. So they turned around to try and find Ruth, and it was too late. Because Ruth, having long since been picked up and dropped off in LA by her brother,
Later, nerds.
had disappeared into the heart of the city.
Into the night like a shadow.
Like a shadow. Agnes had been folded up like an old sweater and stuffed into a steamer trunk. Sammy was not so lucky. Into a large black steamer trunk had been stuffed Sammy's head, torso, and her lower legs. Her upper legs and arms were stored into a valise and a hat box.
Gross.
Do not scroll, but that is the wanted. Do you want to read that in like a nice transatlantic?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Wanted for double murder. Murdered and mutilated two young women at Phoenix, Arizona, October 16th, 1931. Mrs. Judd will no doubt represent herself to be a professional nurse, see? She has a very pleasing personality, rather slender build, slim legs, and thick hair. Age 25, height 5 foot 7 inches, weight 125 pounds. Eyes blue-gray and large, hair light brown. Arrest and notified G.O.O. Brisbois, Chief of Police.
Thank you. Meanwhile, back in Phoenix.
Back at the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Meanwhile, back in Phoenix, the police have been notified some gals were missing when they usually should be around.
Some dames.
Some dames are gone, and no one had seen them in a couple days. So, along with the neighbors, the Phoenix police entered the home and were horrified to discover bloody stains all over the bungalow.
God! It's those bitches in the boxes.
They don't know about the bitches in the boxes.
Oh, Lord.
It's two different states.
Oh, God.
They just see blood stains. Oh, no. And these are missing women.
Balls.
Please tell me that was a Dr. Horrible reference.
Yeah, it definitely could have been. I say it all the time. Balls is. I say it all the time. Balls is an exclamation. Cock and balls is another common one that I say around the house. Yeah.
They found all these bloody stains, and then there were 2 bed frames and 0 mattresses. The police searched all over the home for the missing women.
What is the point of getting rid of the mattresses if there's blood all over everything? This bitch is so stupid. Oh, fuck.
The police searched all over the home for the missing women, as did all of their neighbors. Within the next couple days, reporters had begun showing up to the crime scene to get an up-close and personal shot with a mystery murder site.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, fucking, since when does this kind of shit happen? This is news.
On October 20th, the landlord who owned the bungalow took out an ad in 2 local newspapers. For merely 10 cents a person, you too could see the bungalow murder scene.
I love it.
The police eventually found a mattress matching one of the missing ones, but there was very little blood on the mattress. Certainly not enough for a murder scene, and it was miles from the house.
Again, I say, way.
The second mattress was never found. Never. It just was gone. I guarantee someone was like, that's not too much blood. I can use that.
You've been struck by a weird criminal.
Bum.
Oh, shit. Annie, are you okay? No. Are you okay? No. She's dead in the trunk.
I need a whole song of this.
I love parody. It's great. It's my
No,
favorite.
I need it.
As a child who listened to a lot of Weird Al growing up, it's great.
It's amazing. On October 23rd, 5 days after boarding the train in Phoenix, Ruth decided enough was enough.
Hold on. Annie, are you okay? Every time we come up with fun merch ideas, we have
Nope,
to
I'm stuck in the trunk.
Our one fan, timestamp it, please. Oh God. Can you imagine like t-shirts that say Annie, are you okay? And it's just a trunk that opens up with like a fucking dead body.
Please make that.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
That's great. It's a little morbid, but it's awesome.
Okay, for Halloween, let's start our Patreon, and anyone who donates within the first month will make like a t-shirt and we'll send them out.
Well, I think
We'll make like 50 t-shirts or whatever. With
I
that
was thinking
stupid
about
fucking
this.
thing.
What I would like to do before we go on a huge tangent, and then we can come back to this
Yes.
later. I think when we do finally get the Patreon up and going, I think at a base level, I would like to do stickers for
fuck
Patreon
yeah.
members. Like automatically when you join the Patreon, you get a sticker.
Fuck yeah, I love
It's-
stickers.
I mean, like it. Otherwise, we can like sell stickers and stuff like that. But like for Patreon members, that would be fun. And I think we
Like
should.
sticker of the month club.
Well, not even that. Just like they'll get extra content, but just like as a bonus, like as a thank you for joining. Like,
Oh fuck yeah.
here's a sticker, put it on your shit. You know, whatever. It would be a good way to get the word out. We could have like QR codes or hashtags on it that would get, you know, to our shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But more than anything, just as like a thank you for joining.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be fun to like focus on a base level before we do another level and try to do another thing.
Absolutely.
And maybe like, I don't know, but maybe this is a pipe dream, but maybe Patreon members get like a discount on merch or something. I don't know.
For sure. If we ever do merch, that
Figure
sounds
it out. Yeah, whatever.
You know
We're
what?
getting ahead of
This is the
ourselves.
first big step of trying to actually get to make a fucking career out of our.
Well, you gotta fund the
out of
dream
our
somehow.
hobby. Yeah.
This is what we did in college. I mean, when I was in shout out Acapellas at ISU, we had to do all our own shit. Like we were a university group, but we had to do all our own fundraising. We had a faculty sponsor, quote unquote, that was just quite literally not involved in anything that we did.
Right.
So we had to make our own posters. We had to make our own merch. We had to like give our own money. We had to figure it out. And that's how we paid for our concerts and our trips and the album that we recorded.
Nice.
But so we can do that. That's what I'm saying.
Cool. Let's do it.
We got the goods.
So on October, where did I do? Yes. We went on a tangent. I got lost for just a second.
I tried to keep it a short tangent. I'm sorry.
No, I like it, and for the record, I agree. I would love to do stickers. I think that's a perfect way to start, and we got enough stupid things that we've said that we can turn it into a sticker.
For sure.
What's that thing from Portlandia? Stick a bird on it. Put a bird on it. On October 23rd, let's get back to it. On October 23rd, 5 days after boarding the train in Phoenix, Ruth decided enough was enough. She went to a funeral home and turned herself in to the police. I'm not really sure if it was the funeral for the girls or not, nor am I positive what even happened to the bodies.
It's a weird place to turn yourself in.
Yeah, like they were already there.
Zero authority at a funeral home.
I think it was during a funeral. I don't know, and I don't know if it was for the girls because like they don't talk about it ever again.
Damn disrespectful.
Yeah, it's terrible. Over the course of the next 3 weeks, hundreds and hundreds of visitors walked through the home for an up-close and personal look at the bloody bungalow. Ruth was returned to Phoenix, where she awaited trial. They questioned Ruth about the murders and the dismemberment, and under the threat of solitary confinement, Ruth told the police that Burton had gotten her the saws, and that apparently he had gotten them from a man named W. Robert Ladue. Burton is her brother. The guy that picked her up from the thing. You want to know what I want to know? I want to know what the fuck is happening with Happy Jack all this time. Because, is he still fucking his way around town? Does he know? Do people know that they had been together? Like,
that he helped dispose of these bodies?
What, did he?
Yeah, of course he did. Why would he be? How do you go from being amongst multiple dead bodies and returning to your home in one night to having the bodies being disposed of within hours? I mean, he definitely helped in some capacity.
So the press got a hold of the story and the titles came pouring in. Ruth was now called the Blonde Butcher, the Tiger Woman, and the Trunk Murderess.
I love all of these.
Yeah, isn't it great? She was still a
way better nicknames than Stupid Happy Jack. I am unhappy about Happy Jack.
Who was more than happy to Jack, if you get my drift.
Jacking that bodies into pieces.
Fucking A. All right, so, but you know what? Ruth was still a frail little thing. I mean, she had tuberculosis.
Yeah, how could she possibly do it all alone?
Yeah, she's fucking 120 pounds soaking wet. Crime scene was inexorably damaged, though, by this time. Like, they're starting the investigation, but basically there'd been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people walking through here.
So get fucked.
It was impossible to garner evidence from the scene of the crime, but the prosecution tried to do exactly that. Ruth was charged with the first-degree murder of Agnes Ann Leroy, and the prosecution claimed that Ruth had murdered the girls and shot her hand as a cover-up. The murders were obviously premeditated.
I love that theory.
It gets better. The murders were obviously premeditated because the three women had all been vying for the affections of Happy Jack Halloran. The defense claimed that she had been the one to introduce Happy Jack to a new partner and was not jealous at all. The prosecution claimed that she had murdered in cold blood, gone to work the next day, come home, and shot herself in the hand to make it look real. The defense claimed that Ruth had shot her in self-defense as she was attacked. The prosecution claimed that she had shot the woman on the mattresses and then disposed of the mattresses to hide the evidence. The defense claimed there would be more blood on the mattresses if that had happened.
True.
Sammy's murder and dismemberment was neither brought up in trial nor charged at all. Nor was the evidence showing the bodies had been dismembered with surgical precision.
By a doctor, mayhaps. Load them up on morphine and just have them cut these bodies up. Just,
like season 1 of American Horror Story.
Oh, God. I'll give you some more morphine if you help me cut these bodies up. Babe. I wish I had like a pill bottle that I could shake right now.
I have drugs.
I got the good stuff over here.
Ruth didn't... Oh. Ruth didn't speak in her own defense, and she was just she was convicted. She was sentenced to death. Like, done.
I'm surprised it didn't accuse her of being a witch and burn her.
I know. It was so quick, and it was so like...
Jesus Christ.
You die now. But it wasn't that simple because, as it turned out, that was exactly what former Mesa Mayor Dan Kleinman wanted. He was on the jury, and he had convinced the jury that the only way for Ruth to give up her accomplices was to sentence her to death. So that's what he did.
And how did that go?
She was sentenced to be hanged, and her execution was set for February 17th, 1933.
But...
Well, let's back up.
Oh.
Let's rewind. Woo! Let's go back to that night. According to multiple neighbor accounts and follow-up research from people who have been plagued by this case for decades, Ruth's conviction is not the only story from that night. Again, this is some conjecture, but also pieced together from the details available for this case. And this is what the armchair detectives, after the fact, think actually happened. Remember how I said Happy Jack was waiting for Ruth when she got back to her apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she took Jack back to the bungalow. He surveyed the scene. He assured Ruth that she'd be all right and that he would take care of everything. Ruth went home, and Jack went into action. Realizing that disposing of two bodies would not be an easy task, Jack made a call. A doctor, perhaps a man named Dr. Brown, came to the bungalow, someone who knew how to do surgeries.
I'm a fucking genius.
Yes, you are. You paste this all together right the fuck away.
Every fucking step of the way.
They dismembered Sammy and Agnes and placed most of her body in the trunk. They realized the body wouldn't fit all the way, so they gathered the other luggage that would do the job. I'm sorry, this is terrible, but also
I mean, they
ridiculous.
already killed them.
Yep.
They're going to respect the bodies now?
It's logistics, baby.
Oy.
Happy Jack planned to pack up the bodies and drive them out to the desert, leaving them there far from civilization or human interaction. But the next day, he changed his mind.
Dun, 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 dun.
What would be better than disposing of bodies in the desert, he wondered. Why, good old-fashioned sea monsters. Ruth had a brother and a husband in California, so it'd just be easy for her to go there and dump the bodies in the ocean. She could just make it look like she was visiting, and she could just ship the trunks with her on the train. Take them straight to the ocean, into the ocean. Bloop,
All these
bye.
rich people are so stupid.
Whales eat bodies, right?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what science he had to back that up, but...
When Ruth tested the weight, however, she realized that the trunks would not exactly be easy for this tiny woman to haul around.
No.
And she had to adjust the body parts in other suitcases and boxes to allow them to be reasonably lugged around. And however it actually went down, Ruth was fucking terrified of hanging and livid at Happy Jack for the part he played and was getting away with. He didn't get totally away because Phoenix courts did indict him on charges of, I think, like an accessory after the fact. In a preliminary hearing for the case, Ruth testified for 3 days. In a particularly emotional moment, she said, "I am going to be hanged for something Jack Halloran is responsible for. I was convicted of murder, but I shot in self-defense. Jack Halloran removed every bit of evidence. He is responsible for me through all this. He is guilty of anything I am guilty of."
Jesus.
There was enough evidence to get him charged, but I think because he was so well connected, none of that went anywhere, and the case was dismissed.
Sucks for her.
Yup. Ruth was the only one going down for the murder. She was facing a deadline of her life and had not ceased to have her health issues. She didn't want to die over something that she apparently had to do or felt she had to do to survive. She appealed the conviction a few times but was unsuccessful. They had a competency hearing, which put the execution date on pause. For 10 days, she was examined, and the doctors who examined her declared her mentally incompetent. She was sent to Arizona State Asylum on April 24th, 1933.
Well, she does seem like a moron.
Happy Jack, who was more than happy to Jack if you get my drift. He never stopped his philandering ways.
Gross.
Yeah, he was released on a $3,000 bond. He was photographed smiling after his release. He continued to be a socialite, but the case had lost him a good reputation, and he eventually fell out of favor. In 1939, Happy Jack, who had been happy to Jack, died. Good. Ruth spent the next 30 years at the asylum.
Wait. I'm just going to gloss over that.
He
Well,
died. I think he probably had health issues because he smoked and drank himself to death. I don't know.
Lordy.
I really am not sure, but
I
the way
wanted
that
more information than that.
they barely have information on the guy. It's all in
I'm
connection
sure.
to this woman. I would love to know how he died. I would like it to be some
Just
sort of crazy like STD or something.
Piece of shite.
Yep. Ruth spent the next 30 years as a resident of the asylum. I say 30 years. Over that 30 years, she escaped 6 times.
Why didn't they just put her to a firing squad?
Because she was mentally incompetent.
Seems competent to me. Escaping 6 times.
Once she walked 180 miles on train tracks from Phoenix to Yuma.
I think they got it wrong.
In 1963, a friend had given her a key to the front door of the asylum. So she used that key and walked out the doors.
As you do.
As you do. She made it all the way to California, and in San Francisco, she was able to find work as a governess again to a wealthy family in the area.
Yeah, who the fuck does a background check in 1930 or whatever the fuck it is at this point?
Right. For 6 years, she lived under the name Marion Kane and took care of children and lived
Wait, she lived out of the asylum for 6 years?
as a different person, and she was a governess for the same family for 6 years. So obviously there was some
And
sense of stability.
people are the same amount of stupid today. There's just more of them.
Yeah, they didn't exactly have the ability to do a lot of reference checks.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
She took care of the children. She lived out the burden of her real life.
Imagine being the family that finds out that the woman that's been taking care of your children
Murdered
for the
2
last 6
women.
years and was committed and escaped from an asylum.
And that was her 6th escape.
What
She
in
ended
the
up in
fuck?
your home.
It's like in School Rock when
It's like
Jack
that
Black says,
dreadful, like,
"Okay, fine,
no.
I'm not really a teacher, but you know, I've touched your kids, and I'm pretty sure they touched me too."
What the fuck?
All the parents go, "What?" That's how I imagine these parents were finding out who this woman has been all this time.
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
There's been a few serial killers that were like, they were babysitters over time. You know, we did one on Beverly Ollett. She was a babysitter.
Yeah. We literally just watched the Zac Efron Bundy thing the other night.
It's so good, right?
I'm ashamed to admit how good it was.
Right.
Man, they really make... Zac Efron is infinitely more charming than Ted Bundy. I want to say that first and foremost.
For sure.
But also, it is really fun, especially, I would say, the second half. The first half is a lot of buildup about his life, his first life that he was, running away from him to murder all these women. With this lady and her daughter, he builds this life with them, and then just like on the weekends is just murdering.
Yeah.
But like Zac Efron's portrayal of him, when you've seen, because we watched the actual like Bundy tapes and the other like Bundy docs and stuff. So when you've seen the footage of him like reading the affidavit with the Florida
where he's
general
standing there
attorney.
next to it and like, all right, let's see this. Go ahead and read that for me, please.
Yeah.
It's incredible. His performance is spot the fuck on.
It's lovely.
There was so much, I don't know if you remember this from when it came out, but there was a lot of anger about the fact that Zac Efron was playing Ted Bundy. How dare he do such a terrible, terrible person, play such a terrible, terrible person to do this part.
He really
and
does
have
make him
them
likable.
Make him and have them write him as such a likable character for
But that's
99%
the point.
of
That's who this man was.
That's exactly it. That's what they don't understand is that at the time, literally people thought he was innocent because he was too cute to be guilty. And that's exactly what they were able
These
to
women
portray
were
by casting Zac
infatuated.
Efron.
Yeah. It wasn't like Ted Bundy. Like, listen, I'm not saying that I'm any sort of attractive, but I've seen what Ted
You're a
Bundy
cutie,
looks
don't
like.
lie.
I'll stop. I just say like I don't particularly think Ted Bundy's an averagely handsome white dude. He's not like
Right, but he was charming as fuck.
well, that's what it is, and that's the thing. And he has this ambiguous sort of these features where he can grow a beard and grow his hair out, and all of a sudden he looks like a completely different person. He can pass for whoever, you know. And that's really the thing that got him, you know, all these women is that he has his features are just vaguely handsome enough.
Yes.
And if you look at it, I'm not trying to sound like a shithead, but like these women, particularly the ones that he was in like the relationships with, the woman that he lived with, her and her daughter, and then the woman that he marries and fathers a child with at the end. They're both kind of homely looking ladies. Like they're not particularly physically attractive women from the photos that they show at the end. Like the actresses obviously that play these women are more attractive than the actual women are, but I think that there's something to be said that like the more attractive the women were that he was like with or preyed upon, the more violently he was with them, towards them.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, since we're on the topic of true crime already, I mean, Manson, his girls were also not really like conventionally attractive.
No, desperate maniacs.
Yeah, and he preyed on the fact that they wanted attention, they wanted love, and they wanted to be thought of as beautiful. And so Ted Bundy did exactly the same thing. He made these people feel beautiful. One thing that will haunt me forever, and I think Zac Efron's portrayal of the role, this is what like fucking clinched it for me, was he marries that woman. He's in prison. Mm-hmm. They're fucking in the break room or in the, you know, visiting room or whatever. Mm-hmm. And his eyes do this weird transformation from like being this innocent dude to like all of a sudden he's got this evil eyes. His facial expression does not change, but it's fucking,
the first time
his
you
fucking
really
eyes
see...
and you're like, holy shit, that is the best transformation without ever moving your face at all.
Yeah,
you can see it.
Because the thing that this doc does so well is it never shows Efron being violent as Bundy. It's all just in between the murders.
And there's one moment where like you can see the literally the swing leading up to a violent thing. Yeah. And then right after the follow up from that, but they don't show the hit. They don't show
literally not one scene in the movie is him being violent
gory
towards anyone. No, at all. And I think that's what they do so well about it. And that's what like old horror movies did so well, is like not showing the monster.
Yeah.
You know, showing
the shadow
piece
and
of
the
it. Yeah,
piece of
exactly.
it. It's the suspense and it's letting your imagination really run away with it. And this film did an amazing job of letting you just
you don't even really see
together.
him get mad until like
there's a couple explosions at the end, and that's it.
Right.
But you and you can start seeing his mask slip more and more throughout the movie,
for sure.
As he's kind of moving through all of these places in his life. Because
and some of the bullshit that comes out of his mouth when he's like in a pinch, like in a situation in court where he's like talking out of his ass, you're like,
there it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Even like down to the Florida thing. He gets to Florida and you can see like
Malkovich as the judge is so funny.
Oh, for sure. He's walking in to, you know, one of the like a frat party or whatever, sorority party.
Yeah.
And you see him about to party. Yep. And literally like you don't see anything after that, but then all of a sudden there's people are walking through this crime scene and it's fucking brutal.
Exactly. I think that's the thing they do so well, is that they hide the monster the whole time, which is what he did so well as a serial killer.
And the only thing he lets slip in that movie is sometimes his little eyes and sometimes his explosions. And at the very end, the only admission that he gives is that little thing that he writes in the window, which I thought was very fucking clever.
And then obviously they allude to it. They don't show it in the movie, but then he tells all those different detectives from the different states about whatever, like 30 bodies, you know?
So I was born in Pensacola in 88, and my parents at the time, they went to church with one of the guys that worked for the FBI, who was somebody that Bundy had started trusting. So my dad would like go to church and then end up kind of sitting and talking to this guy who had been like spent the week listening to Bundy just dump out all of this ridiculous information on him, because well, I'm dying anyway.
I think it's so funny that like Bundy was such a narcissist that he had to steal a car just like the one he already had. Like, what are you, a fucking idiot?
No, that was his signature.
I know, but it's like, bro, you're pissed that you got caught driving a stolen the same car, you idiot. What are you? That's hilarious. Like you needed the Volkswagen that badly.
Very on brand for him.
Oh my god, it is very on brand for him. But I just when we got to that part in the Efron, I was just like, oh my god, this fucking narcissist would steal the same car. What an idiot.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're back to Ruth, who is in California taking care of these kids.
Yeah.
And she finally gets recognized by someone.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So
She blew it.
we really don't know how it happens. I don't know. Like, there's not really too many details on that part, but she got caught again. And in August of 1969, she was sent back to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Right after the Summer of Love, too. I mean, like, it's a whole thing. Wait, no, that was not 1969, was it? No, 1969 was a very violent year. I think it was 1964, 1965, something like that. I am speaking out of my ass for that, so don't listen to me for the last 30 seconds.
I was born in the 90s, so I only know so
you got
much about
nothing?
the 60s.
Yeah. So by this time, she was more connected in California. She'd been there for 6 years. So she hired this fancy pants San Francisco lawyer named Melvin Belli.
Sure.
Melvin could practice in California, but he needed an Arizona lawyer on the team to be able to do the case.
I've heard of stuff like that.
Yep. So he called a relatively unknown at that point lawyer named Larry DeBus.
Am I supposed to know that name?
No.
Okay.
The team wanted to release Ruth. The team wanted the release of Ruth because she'd been gone for years. There was basically no point, and the evidence uncovered since that time of the crimes pointed to the extraneous circumstances that they were highly unlikely to be repeated. Basically, she killed them in self-defense. It was an extreme circumstance. She's probably not going to do it again, and she's definitely not been violent ever since. As it turns out, at that point, the governor of Arizona, Jack Williams, also wanted to let her go, and he was working out a deal secretly with these lawyers to have Ruth released as long as the release was kept hush-hush.
How could it possibly be kept hush?
Well, so what does Belli do? Well, no, because they brought her back, and they were like...
How is it not in every newspaper?
Well, probably that she was back, but the deal of the release, they're trying to keep that, like... on the down low and basically minimize...
In exchange for what?
I don't fucking know. In exchange for not doing any more stories about her, I got nothing.
Oh my god.
So Belli decides he wants to call a fucking press release, and
That's the opposite of hush hush.
Yeah. So he demands the immediate release of Ruth. Larry DeBus, realizing this hotshot lawyer from California was about to ruin fucking everything, he fired Belli so that the release could actually go through. He's like, you may be a fancy pants fucking lawyer, but you're out of here.
I'm gonna ruin this.
You're ruining your own case, you fucker. She was paroled and released for good on December 22, 1971. She returned to California and settled in Stockton.
And murdered how many more people?
In 1983, the state of Arizona issued a total discharge, meaning she was no longer a parolee, and she lived a quiet life on her own. October 23rd, 1998, 67 years to the day after she turned herself in, Winnie Ruth Judd died. She was 93 years old.
Good riddance.
And there was never another body. No more bodies.
Fine, but
But still, it's a fucking crazy, like...
what a life.
Jeez. Honestly, I understand, like, the upset about the disposal and that kind of stuff, like, how disrespectful that is, but... I do believe that the circumstances were extraneous and she shot them because they were attacking her. Like, it does seem the way that her behavior had been before was like, all right, everybody's about, like, let's all be fucking and it's fine. And it seems like Agnes and Sammy were just not about that. They were like, no.
I don't know much. I obviously wasn't there.
Duh.
Yeah, right.
I don't either. I'm
What I do
speculating
know
wildly.
is that we and the authorities who released her are just lucky she never killed another person. Because because it's so. I'm like, no, really, they're fine. Let them go. I go, are you sure? Because we're not sure. I go, yeah, we're really sure. And then they do it, and they go, just kidding. Hack, hack, hack. And there's another one. You go, you guys, we said we were sure. You told us.
You promised us. You pinky swore. We were in our little friendship tent, and you pinky swore that you would never do this again. You
Shit is
betrayed our
wild.
friendship.
I guess it is just a lot of hearsay because, you know, there's not a lot of evidence or a lot of good methods at that time when it occurred. So
There was no fair way to try that case at all, and Happy Jack was too, well connected to ever even be considered a serious accomplice, even though likely he was the one that did all, he and Dr. Brown
Will you imagine-
did all the fucking work to actually get rid of the bodies. Basically he said he'll take care of it,
And
and
think of
then
the time.
he didn't. He
You
made
have
her do
some
the shit.
dickhead Dick Tracy wannabe detective coming in going, all right, here's what happened. You're like, really? All right then.
Did it happen just like that?
I forgot you could see into the past. I didn't know that you could do that.
Can I have those binoculars? I'd like to see into the past as well.
No kidding.
Let's do this.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Anyway, this has been a fucking podcast. We're on Facebook and Instagrams and Threads and Reddits.
Well, we have womenpodcast@gmail.com.
That too.
That's my tag. That's the one I memorized.
I like it. When Hannah's corpse comes back, we'll have her zombie be the host again. The little MC again.
Hannah, oh man.
Undead MC.
That's a great bit too. Zombie Hannah, I love that.
Zombie Hannah is your undead MC.
No, that's fantastic. Brains. That's what zombies used to be like when we were kids. Brains.
And then they turned into the crazy fast ones
Now
that you
they're
saw in World War Z.
Now they're giant running mushrooms.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, God. That was such a good show, though.
Listen, I'm not mad about it. I'm
It
just
was
saying.
amazing, yeah. All right. This has been a show.
We're out.
Bye.
Peace.